I go and walk my dog around my house pretty late at night, 12 a.m. to maybe 1 a.m. Maybe not the safest thing, but I live in the woods and away from people. Anyways, I start walking downstairs and notice my sister's door is open and the light is on. It struck me as odd considering she moved out 6 years ago, and nobody ever goes in there. I walk in to turn the light off and close the door, and I see a man trying to hide behind the closet door. It's broken, filled with boxes, so there was no real way he could hide from me. I act like I didn't see him, and I went and grabbed my shotgun from in the other room. Went back in and told him not to move or I'd fucking kill him. He jumped out from the closet and took off running as fast as he could, right past me into the garage and out into the woods. I could have shot him, but I didn't. I saw his face. A few days earlier, he knocked on my door claiming to know my neighbor and said he was looking for copper to sell. Asked if I knew or had any old copper he could have. I gave him a few old car batteries I had, and that was that. He said he had 2 daughters he was trying to take care of. I didn't call the cops, but that's the extent of my mercy. If he came back the next night, he was dead. When I was 4, my parents worked long hours at a restaurant. They left my brother to babysit me until 10 to 10:30 p.m. at night. He is 8 years older than me, so 12 years old at the time. Every night when my parents come home, they'll ring the bell and I'll run to greet them at the door with my brother. One day the bell rings, and when I open the door, instead of my parents, it's 4 guys standing there. Apparently they had been watching the house and knew the routine. They have guns and tell my brother and me to go downstairs and watch some TV as one of the guys stands guard over us. They let me sit there, but they tied my brother up using his Nintendo cords. I remember going to tug at the cords at my brother's wrist. I wasn't trying to untie him, it was more out of curiosity, and the guy actually pointed his gun at me and told me to stop. When they finished going through the house, they tie us both to a beam and leave. After a little while, my brother wiggled out from the bindings, and my parents came home. Cops were called and info was given to the police. They got a few pieces of jewelry and a camcorder. I live in a joint family system. My house is at the top and had just finalized construction, and this is the night we moved in. I'm at the ground floor with my sister and 3 cousins and their parents. We're all laughing and having fun watching TV when a masked guy with a gun walks in. Now, I'm scared shitless because this is Pakistan, and I'm a closet atheist, so I think he's come for me. Instead, he beats up my uncle and starts asking them for money and jewelry. They go out of the room to look while this one guy watches us. Everyone's dead quiet. We're all kids in here. Aside from that one guy laughing and making jokes. He's nice. The others, not so much. One comes in and says they're from Afghanistan and that Pakistan helped the US destroy their country, so he's going to rob a Pakistani. When we said that we obviously aren't from the government, he says the army did it. I freeze. My dad, who's at the top floor, is in the army. He had been deployed at the Afghan border once. No one's children are on the same floor as the parents, and nobody knows what's going on. I think our floor is the only one, and when they take everyone's phones, I thank God my Nexus is in my room. My uncle comes back with the mean thief. They didn't find enough, and apparently someone told them that we had gold bricks hidden somewhere. This is where I start to calm down. They're here for money and not for me. He then tells the nice guy to shoot me to get them to talk. We manage to talk him out of it, though they then take my eldest cousin and tell his parents if they don't cough up more, they're never gonna see him again. After a bit more beating and searching, they decided to leave. My dad comes down after they've left to check on everyone, and he's hurt pretty bad. My Nexus is now gone. Thankfully, they didn't touch my PS4 or PS3. Everyone's safe, though they were about to take a hostage. Also, one of my cousins was apparently crying and begging for the gunman not to kill him, to the point where the thief had to reassure him they weren't going to. So yeah, later the police tell us one of them was killed in a showdown at another house when one of the neighbors called the police. My mother is traumatized by the incident, and that's pretty much it. When I was about 4, we were broken into twice. The first time, my grandfather and mom had been grocery shopping. We arrived home and unlocked the front door, and one of the bedroom doors up the passageway slammed shut from the change in air pressure. My grandfather must have sensed something was up and ran up the passageway to the bathroom. Window was open, curtains swinging in the breeze, and nobody to be found. They figured he mustn't have been there long before they arrived home, as nothing in the house was touched or taken. The second time was 3 months later. My mom woke up to someone sitting on the bed with a knife in his hand at 3 a.m. Mom says she froze, couldn't talk, couldn't move, completely petrified. She said he was mumbling something, but she couldn't make out what he was saying. The next door neighbor's dog barked and he just stood up and walked out. She heard the back door sliding open, and a minute or so later the line of sight shining through the curtains from the streetlight was blanked out. She grabbed the phone and called my grandfather. All she said was, there was someone in the house. He lived about 5 minutes away with her 3 younger teenage brothers. In less than 5 minutes, they pulled in the driveway and scattered to surround the house, all barefoot, wearing only their underwear. Every single door was unlocked and the back door was open. Nobody to be seen. Mom was a mess. There were big, muddy footprints in the laundry under the little windows she left open for the cat. It took a few days for all the weird things this creep had done to be discovered. He had shredded a black negligee that was in the laundry basket, fed the cat, and poured her a bowl of milk, poured a whiskey out of the decanter in the living room, and added ice and Coke to it. Somehow he had injected solder into the eggs in the fridge, ate the leftover roast meat out of the fridge, cut up some catalog that was sitting on the bench, took a photo of the stovetop and another one of me sleeping on my mom's camera, and left it sitting next to the door to my bed. He had tipped some salt into my mother's shoes. The knife that was out of my mom's block in the kitchen, they never found it. Just really weird shit. The cops came, got plenty of fingerprints, but whoever it was didn't have a record. The consensus eventually, a couple years later, was that it was an acquaintance of one of her brothers. It was a bit of a guessing game, though. He'd said X and Y to person A, who told person B, etc., etc., and it got back to my mom's brother. He was eventually locked up on some sort of psychiatric hold for something unrelated, and was never charged with the break-in. This messed my mom up for a lot of years. My stepdad had a monitored alarm system installed when they got together, which somewhat helped her fears. This didn't happen to me, but it happened to one of my family friends. I'll call him Jake. Jake went away to Thailand for a few weeks. The whole family, including him, his brother, his brother's girlfriend, and his parents, went with. Jake was in university at the time and had some assignments he had to finish, so he returned earlier than the rest of the family. When he got home, one of the cars was missing and the house was turned inside out. They had opened all the vents, turned over the furniture and rugs, emptied anything that could have something inside, like drawers, pots, boxes, etc. All the valuables were gone. Jewelry, games, electronics, the works. He called the cops and everyone else came back from their holiday immediately. Turns out his brother's girlfriend had made a post on Facebook about going away. Somehow, someone saw it and decided they would take their car, scope out the place, and spend the next 3 fucking days hanging out there and stealing all their shit. Jake's parents are lawyers, so he had access to some kind of record that helped him find out something to be able to find them on Facebook. I don't know what it was, just lawyer shit. And they actually found them. The guy had posted a photo of him and his girlfriend. She was wearing Jake's mother's one-of-a-kind necklace with their stolen car in the background. The cops said it was circumstantial. The neighbors noticed the dudes robbing the place on one of the days, got their registration, and chased them away, but still the police did shit all. Turns out all the suspects they had were the same ones Jake had found, and they all had criminal records of robbery and assault and whatever else. Yet, still nothing was done. I can't remember what happened with their insurance exactly. I don't think it covered everything, and not to mention all the fucking cleaning they would have had to do.